In the center of the galaxy, there was a place called the Grand Council. The Grand Council was a big hall where leaders from many different alien worlds came together to discuss peace, war, and the future of the galaxy. Every wall was covered in shining silver and blue metal, and the air was always cool and fresh, even when people argued loudly inside. One day, the Grand Council was more crowded than ever before. Aliens of all shapes and sizes were there, some with 3 eyes, some with scales, some with soft fur, and some with voices like music. There was a heavy feeling in the air, like something important was about to happen. The topic of the day was simple: humans. For years, humans had joined the galactic community. At first, they seemed weak, fragile, and even a little slow, but as the years went by, other species noticed something strange. Whenever there was a galactic war, the humans always ended up on the winning side, even when the odds were against them. Even when they faced enemies with better technology, humans would find a way to win. The rumors were everywhere. Some aliens believed humans had secret weapons, devices that could destroy entire planets in seconds. Others said humans used trickery or strange mind powers. A few even whispered that maybe humans were just the luckiest beings in the galaxy. Zara, of the Zeltar, didn't believe in luck. She was an alien historian, and she wanted to know the truth. The Zeltar were a wise race with long lifespans, and they valued knowledge more than anything. Zara had read every record she could find about human wars and victories, but nothing explained it. She decided the only way to understand was to visit Earth herself. The Grand Council allowed her request. Zara would become the first Zeltar historian to visit Earth as an official guest. The Council wished her luck and warned her to be careful. Humans are friendly, but also unpredictable, one council member said with a worried look. Zara traveled to Earth in a small silver ship. Her journey took several days through quiet space. She wondered what she would find. Would she see giant machines, secret laboratories, or perhaps a group of powerful humans planning their next move? As her ship landed on Earth, Zara was surprised. She expected a planet full of military bases and soldiers, but instead, she saw green fields, blue oceans, and busy cities where people laughed and hurried from place to place. There were children playing games in parks, older people walking slowly along quiet streets, and workers fixing roads and painting houses. At the landing port, a human official named Aaron met her. He wore a simple uniform and smiled kindly. "Welcome to Earth, Zara," he said, holding out his hand. Zara shook his hand carefully, feeling the warmth of his skin. "Thank you for welcoming me," she said in her soft, musical voice. Aaron led her through the city. They passed markets full of fruit, bread, and bright cloth. People greeted each other with waves, small jokes, and smiles. Zara noticed something odd. Everyone seemed busy, but nobody seemed afraid. Later, Aaron took her to a military base. This was what Zara had expected. She saw soldiers in training, running and lifting weights, learning to fly small ships and practicing how to work as a team. But what caught Zara's attention was not their weapons or ships. It was how the soldiers treated each other. When one soldier fell during training, the others rushed to help. When someone made a mistake, nobody laughed or yelled. Instead, they showed each other how to do better next time. After the training, the group sat together and talked about their day, sharing stories about their families, dreams, and even fears. Zara thought about the wars she had studied. Many alien armies punished weakness and demanded perfection. On Earth, mistakes were seen as a chance to grow. Strength came from working together, not from being the best alone. The next day, Zara visited a school. She watched as children learned about the universe, drew pictures of distant planets, and acted out stories from history. When one child struggled with a difficult lesson, another student offered to help. Teachers encouraged teamwork and kindness, not just grades and prizes. That evening, Zara walked through a neighborhood as the sun set. She saw neighbors sharing food, helping each other repair broken fences, and laughing together under the stars. When a car broke down, 3 people hurried over to help, pushing the car to the side and offering a ride home. No one asked for payment or thanks. It was just how things were done. Aaron explained, "On Earth, we believe in looking out for each other. Alone, one person might not be strong enough, but together, we can face anything." Zara started to understand something important. Every part of human life was built on trust, support, and learning from mistakes. Whether in the military, at school, or at home, people worked together. But Zara wanted to see more. She asked Aaron, "Can I visit a place that remembers war?" Aaron nodded and took her to a war memorial in the city center. The memorial was a simple stone wall covered with names. Flowers, pictures, and small notes from families rested at the bottom. There were people standing quietly, some with tears in their eyes, others simply lost in thought. Zara saw that humans did not celebrate, or instead they remembered those they lost and promised to do better in the future. A veteran stood nearby. He noticed Zara's curious eyes and walked over. He had silver hair and moved slowly, but his voice was strong. "We remember those who fought so we can live in peace," he told her. "Winning a war is not just about beating the enemy. It's about protecting each other and never forgetting the cost." Zara thanked him and felt a strange warmth inside. She realized that the secret behind human victory might not be hidden in weapons or technology. It was something deeper, something in their hearts. Over the next few days, Zara continued to watch humans. She saw moments of joy and moments of pain, but always people helped one another. She watched a firefighter risk his life to save a stranger from a burning building. She saw a group of strangers rushing to help after a car accident. At a hospital, doctors and nurses worked together to heal people, sharing long hours and never giving up hope. Everywhere Zara went, she saw the same thing. Humans never left anyone behind. One evening, Aaron invited Zara to a festival in the town square. There was music, dancing, and food from every corner of Earth. People wore colorful clothes and told stories of old battles, of times when humanity nearly fell but always found a way to rise again. Zara listened to an old woman tell her grandchildren about a time when Earth was almost destroyed by an alien fleet. The story was not about fear, but about courage, hope, and people coming together. As Zara looked up at the stars that night, she realized she was no closer to finding any secret, weapons or mysterious powers. Instead, she had found something much more powerful, a spirit that lived in every human, young and old, rich and poor, soldier and civilian. It was the spirit of never giving up, of standing together, of turning every setback into a lesson and every loss into a reason to fight harder. As the festival lights faded and the city grew quiet, Zara wrote in her journal, "The real strength of humans is not in their weapons or their armies. It is in their hearts. If the galaxy understood this, maybe there would be fewer wars and more hope." But Zara's visit was only just beginning. Somewhere far away, trouble was already starting to stir, and soon the galaxy would test humanity's strength once again. Zara spent her first week on Earth learning about human life. Each day she found something new that surprised her. But as the days passed, news started to spread in the galaxy. News that would soon bring danger to Earth. Far away from Earth, in the darkness of space, 5 alien empires had gathered in secret. They called themselves the United Front. These were some of the strongest, most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. Their leaders were tired of seeing humans win every war. They believed humans had become too strong, too brave, and too unpredictable. Now, the United Front wanted to end human victories forever. The United Front's spies brought back messages from Earth. The human planet is open. Their defenses are relaxed. Their leaders don't expect an attack. The alien leaders smiled. cold smiles. They decided to strike while humans were at peace. Back on Earth, Zara was invited by Aaron to visit a human strategy center. It was not a secret place hidden underground. Instead, it was a bright building filled with people from all walks of life, young and old, men and women, even a few children learning from their parents. Everyone was welcome, and everyone's ideas were valued. Zara watched as humans worked on computers and drew maps on screens. They planned for problems, not just for war. When someone had an idea, everyone listened. If someone made a mistake, others showed them how to fix it. There was laughter, but also deep respect. Zara saw that humans trusted each other, and that trust made their plans stronger. One afternoon, the news broke. A fleet from the United Front was coming to Earth. At first, there was a moment of shock. People paused in their work, worried faces turning toward each other, but no one panicked. Instead, the humans gathered quickly. They called families and friends, made sure everyone had a safe place to stay, and began preparing for what might come. Aaron turned to Zara. "This is what we do best. We work together. No one is left alone." Zara saw that even people who were afraid did not run away. They joined others, offering to help in any way they could. Some volunteered to deliver food and water, others checked on elderly neighbors, or took care of children so parents could help with the city's defenses. Artists drew encouraging pictures on walls, and musicians played songs to lift spirits. Even in fear, humans found hope. The United Front fleet reached the edge of Earth's solar system. Their ships were huge, dark, and covered in armor. They carried the latest weapons, missiles that could destroy whole cities, shields that could stop any attack, and machines that could jam human communications. The alien commanders felt sure they would win. Inside their war room, the United Front's generals laughed. "Humans are weak," said one. "They rely on old technology," said another. "They only win because their enemies are fools," said a third. But they did not know what Zara had learned. The real strength of humans was not in their ships or weapons. It was in their unity. On Earth, humans prepared as best they could. Military bases sent messages to every city and town, sharing information openly. There were no secrets. Ordinary people were told exactly what was happening. Leaders stood in the streets and spoke to the crowds, answering questions and calming fears. One leader said, "This is not the first time we have faced a threat from the stars. We will not fight alone. Every person here is part of this defense. Every idea matters." Zara watched as humans worked faster and faster. Mechanics upgraded ships, engineers built shields, and scientists tried new ideas to block enemy weapons. Farmers delivered food to soldiers and workers, making sure nobody went hungry. Children wrote letters to encourage their parents. The whole world became a giant team. Aaron asked Zara, "Is this what you expected?" Zara shook her head. "No. On my world, only the smartest and strongest are trusted in times of crisis. Here, everyone helps. You do not just fight with weapons. You fight with your hearts." As the United Front fleet came closer, some alien ships sent messages trying to scare the humans. They demanded surrender. They threatened to destroy cities unless the humans gave up. But the human leaders replied, "We will not surrender. We will stand together, no matter what." The United Front fleet moved into attack position above Earth. Their ships filled the sky, blocking out the stars. On every continent, people watched as bright lights flashed in the heavens. The alien generals waited for the humans to break, but the humans did not. Instead, something unexpected happened. As the first alien ships fired their weapons, human defenses adapted quickly. Shields that had just been built blocked the attacks. Old satellites were reprogrammed in minutes to send false signals, confusing the alien missiles. Human pilots, flying ships that were smaller and older than the enemy, used creative tricks to outmaneuver the invaders. Some flew straight at the enemy, distracting them long enough for others to attack from behind. Zara watched on a screen as a group of human pilots saved a city by drawing enemy ships into a trap. The enemy fell for the trick, and their ships crashed into a field where humans had already evacuated everyone. Not a single civilian was lost. Everywhere Zara looked, she saw teamwork. When one team was in trouble, another rushed to help. When a plan failed, nobody blamed each other. They simply made a new plan and tried again. But the United Front was strong. Their ships started landing on the ground, sending soldiers into cities. In some places, humans were pushed back. Some buildings fell, and fires burned in the night. It looked like the United Front might win. Still, humans did not give up. Zara watched as people formed rescue teams, pulling neighbors from damaged buildings. Doctors set up clinics in basements, treating the injured by candlelight. Even those who had lost everything still found ways to help others. Zara met a group of young students who had lost their school in the attack. Instead of crying or running away, they set up a small radio station, sending messages of hope to their city. "We are still here," they said over the radio. "We will not give up." Aaron told Zara, "We have always faced hard times, but every time we get back up. We learn, we help each other, and we keep moving forward." As the battle raged on, the humans began to fight back harder. Small groups found clever ways to surprise the enemy. Farmers used old equipment to block alien tanks on country roads. City workers flooded tunnels to stop enemy troops. Artists painted signs to warn people where it was safe to hide. Everyone did what they could, no matter how small. The United Front started to worry. Their commanders argued, "Why aren't the humans breaking? Why do they keep coming back?" Zara realized that the United Front had made a mistake. They thought victory was about power and fear. But humans believed victory was about hope and unity. Late one night, as the battle reached its worst point, Zara saw something that changed her forever. In a small village, surrounded by enemy soldiers, a group of humans stood together, refusing to surrender. Their leader, a simple farmer, held up a white cloth, not as a sign of surrender, but as a sign of peace. He spoke to the enemy soldiers, telling them about Earth's history, about the cost of war, and about what it meant to be human. Some of the enemy soldiers hesitated. A few even laid down their weapons, not wanting to fight anymore. The rest pushed forward, but the humans stood their ground. Zara wrote in her journal that night, "Even in the darkest hour, humans believe in peace. Their courage is not just on the battlefield, but in their hearts." Finally, after hours of fighting, the humans managed to push the enemy back from the village. They celebrated not with anger, but with relief and kindness, sharing food and water with the few enemy soldiers who had given up. As the sun rose over Earth, Zara felt hope. She saw that the real reason humans never lost a galactic war was not because they were perfect or had the best weapons. It was because they stood together, helped each other, and never let fear win. But the battle was not over yet. The United Front still had many ships, and the days ahead would be hard. Zara knew she would have to see the humans face their greatest test yet, and maybe, just maybe, she could help them in their fight for peace. After the first days of battle, Zara saw that the world had changed. The sky over Earth still glowed with fire where alien ships fell, but people were already clearing the streets and fixing broken buildings. It seemed like nothing could break the humans' spirit. But the fight was not over. The United Front was angry that their first attack had failed. Their commanders, far away in space, sent more warships and more soldiers to Earth. The plan was simple: crush the humans before they could recover. The alien leaders believed that humans could only stand strong for a short time, and that, with more pressure, they would finally break. Zara watched the news as more enemy ships filled the sky. People around her worried, but nobody ran. Instead, everyone worked faster. Zara saw teams of volunteers in every city and village, helping to build new defenses and taking care of anyone who was scared or hurt. People brought food and blankets to shelters. Teenagers helped old men and women carry bags. Even children drew bright pictures and taped them to the walls to make others smile. Aaron, her guide and friend, was everywhere. He worked with the city's leaders, checking supplies, and making sure everyone had what they needed. He never looked tired, even though Zara knew he had not slept much since the attack began. One morning, Aaron found Zara in the city square, watching a group of engineers build a shield generator. "Are you worried?" Zara asked him softly. Aaron looked up at the sky for a moment. "I am," he admitted. "But fear is not always bad. Fear reminds us to protect what we care about. That's why we fight so hard." Zara nodded. She was starting to understand something deep about humans. They were afraid, just like any other species. But their fear did not make them weak. It made them stronger together. The United Front's second attack was even more powerful. Giant alien ships dropped heavy bombs on important targets. Soldiers landed in large numbers, trying to capture cities and cut off human leaders from their people. The news was full of reports of fires, destroyed bridges, and families forced to leave their homes. But for every blow the enemy landed, the humans responded with something new. Engineers found ways to move supplies underground so the enemy could not block them. Cooks made huge pots of soup to feed everyone in the shelters. Farmers drove their tractors into the city, bringing fresh food and helping people escape danger. Zara joined a team of medics working in a damaged hospital. She helped carry water and blankets, passing tools to doctors and nurses. She watched as doctors taught volunteers how to care for the wounded. Every person, no matter how scared, tried their best to help. Nobody was left alone. One night, as Zara walked back to her room, she heard music in the distance. She followed the sound to a park where people had gathered. There were candles on the grass and someone was playing a guitar. Men and women, young and old, sat together, singing soft songs. For a moment, the war felt far away. Zara sat quietly, listening to the music. She thought about her own world, where, during war, people hid in silence and fear. Here, on Earth, music was a way to remember that they were alive, that hope was still possible. Suddenly, a new message came from the United Front. The alien leaders sent a video to all of Earth's channels. On the screen, a tall, cold-looking alien commander spoke in a deep, flat voice. "Surrender," the commander said, "or Earth will be destroyed. We will show no mercy. Your cities will fall, your leaders will be captured, and your people will serve us." For a few seconds, there was silence. Then the broadcast ended. Aaron gathered the city's people in the main hall. Zara watched as he stood in front of the crowd. "I know you are afraid," Aaron said. "We all are. But we have faced worse, and we are still here. The United Front wants us to give up hope. But we will not give up. We will protect each other, help each other, and fight for our world. No matter how hard it gets, we stand together." People clapped and cheered. Some wiped away tears. Others hugged their friends. Zara felt goosebumps on her arms. She realized that the United Front could never understand this feeling. It was something stronger than weapons or technology. It was the feeling of a community that refused to fall apart. In the days that followed, new heroes rose in every city. Zara met a young engineer who fixed broken radios so people in shelters could talk to their families. She met a baker who used all his flour to make bread for soldiers and children. She met a team of firefighters who risked their lives to save people from a burning building, even as alien drones flew overhead. Everywhere Zara looked, humans kept finding new ways to resist. They did not care about glory or medals. They cared about each other. The United Front, seeing their progress slow, changed their tactics. Now, they tried to spread fear and lies. alien agents snuck into cities, spreading rumors that the humans were about to lose, that there was no hope left. They tried to make people fight each other, but the humans saw through these tricks. They used their own networks to spread true stories of bravery and kindness. Children's voices were heard on radios, telling jokes and reading stories. Old friends called each other to check in. People wrote letters to soldiers, letting them know that their families were safe and waiting for them. Zara realized that human hope was a shield stronger than any wall. One night, as the battle raged in the skies above, Zara and Aaron joined, a group of engineers in the city's main square. They were working to repair a broken energy core that powered the city's shields. The job was dangerous. Alien drones circled overhead, searching for targets. Aaron handed Zara a tool. "Can you help me hold this?" he asked. Zara nodded and did her best. As she worked, she heard the voices of the others, men and women, young and old, encouraging each other, giving advice and sharing stories to stay awake. Suddenly, an explosion shook the ground nearby. The group ducked as debris rained down. Someone was hurt, but nobody ran. 2 people stayed with the injured worker while the rest finished the repair. Within minutes, the city's shields were working again. When the danger had passed, everyone hugged and cheered. Zara felt tears in her eyes. She realized that she was part of this human family now, sharing their fears and their hope. Outside the city, the United Front's leaders argued. Their best plans had failed. Their weapons could not break the humans' defenses, and their lies had not broken human hope. Some commanders wanted to retreat, others demanded more attacks. A new leader, General Rin, stepped forward. He was younger than the others, and he had studied Earth closely. "We cannot win by force alone," Rin said. "We must understand why the humans do not break. If we fail to learn, we will fail again and again." The others did not listen. They launched one last wave of attacks, sending all their remaining ships and soldiers toward Earth. In the final hours before dawn, Zara joined Aaron on the rooftop of a tall building. They looked out over the city as distant fires burned on the horizon. "Are you afraid now?" Zara asked. Aaron nodded. "Of course. But I know we're not alone." As the first alien ships appeared in the morning sky, a wave of human fighters rose to meet them. All over Earth, people sent messages of encouragement. Even as battles raged outside, families and friends gathered in shelters, singing songs and telling stories. Zara listened to the sounds of courage all around her. She felt hope growing in her heart, a hope she wanted to take back to her own world one day. That morning, as the battle reached its peak, a message came from Earth's leaders to the United Front. "You may destroy our cities, you may take our land, but you will never take our spirit. We are human, we are together, we will never give up." The United Front's commanders watched in silence. For the first time, they understood that their enemy was not just an army. It was the spirit of millions, standing as one. The battle for Earth reached a level that Zara had never seen before. The morning sky turned dark with alien ships. The sound of fighting echoed in every city and countryside. Fires burned in the distance, and the ground shook with each explosion. For a moment, it seemed like the whole world might fall apart. But in the middle of all this chaos, something powerful was happening. The humans refused to give up. Everywhere Zara looked, people were fighting, not just with weapons, but with hope, teamwork, and endless courage. Zara moved through the city with Aaron and a group of volunteers. Their job was to deliver supplies to places that needed help most. Some areas had lost power, others had broken water lines, and everywhere there were people needing food, medicine, and comfort. The roads were dangerous, but the team didn't slow down. As they reached a hospital, Zara saw that it was overflowing. Patients lined the hallways and nurses hurried from room to room. The doctors looked tired but kept going, treating wounds and comforting the frightened. When new supplies arrived, the staff and patients cheered. Some of the injured reached out to help unpack boxes or pass water bottles to others. Nobody just waited. They did whatever they could to help. Aaron handed out food and blankets. He smiled at everyone, even though his own hands shook from tiredness. Zara followed him, passing out small toys to children who smiled even with fear in their eyes. In a quiet corner, Zara saw a group of people sitting together, their heads bowed. An older woman, her clothes dirty and her face lined with worry, held the hands of two strangers. She was leading them in a gentle song, soft but full of hope. Soon, others joined in. The song grew louder until even the nurses were humming along. The fear and pain seemed to fade, at least for a while, but outside, the danger kept growing. The United Front sent out a new type of drone, fast and nearly invisible. These machines slipped past defenses, attacking from above and spreading panic. For the first time, even the bravest defenders started to worry. Zara saw Aaron talking to the city's engineers. "We have to do something," he said. "If those drones keep getting through, we'll lose everything." An old engineer named Mr. Kim studied a captured drone. He called for young students to help. "We don't have much time, but together, we can figure it out." Zara joined them. She watched as Mr. Kim and the students took apart the drone, examining every wire and circuit. They worked through the night, trying ideas, making mistakes, and learning as they went. When they were tired, they took turns napping. When someone got frustrated, the others encouraged them to keep going. Finally, just before dawn, they found a way to block the drone signals. The students ran to every rooftop, placing small jammers made from old radios and wires. Soon, the deadly drones fell from the sky. The city cheered. It was a small victory, but it meant hope. News of the victory spread. Other cities copied the design and stopped their own drone attacks. On the streets, people hugged each other and laughed through tears. Zara felt something warm in her chest. Something she realized was pride. She was proud to be with these people. But the United Front would not stop. The next wave of enemy soldiers landed on the ground, moving from house to house. They demanded the humans surrender. Some houses burned. Zara and her team hurried to help, carrying water and helping families escape. One afternoon, Aaron found a group of enemy soldiers trapped in a collapsed building. Some were hurt, calling for help in frightened voices. Aaron didn't hesitate. He crawled into the rubble with two other volunteers. Together, they pulled the enemy soldiers to safety. Zara watched as the rescued aliens stared at Aaron in shock. They had been taught that humans were monsters, but now they saw kindness and courage instead. One of the enemy soldiers, a young alien named Tiek, couldn't believe what he saw. "Why did you save us?" he asked. Aaron answered, "You're alive, and you needed help. That's enough." The rescued soldiers, still in shock, handed over their weapons and agreed to stay with Aaron's group until the fighting ended. Zara saw how even the enemy could be changed by the way humans acted. As the sun set, Zara wrote in her journal, "Humans do not fight only for victory. They fight for each other, and even for their enemies when they can." Across the city, other small groups found ways to help. Bakers and chefs cooked giant pots of food for everyone, human and alien alike. Artists painted hopeful pictures on broken walls, and teachers held lessons for children in shelters so they would not fall behind. But outside the cities, battles raged on. The United Front was growing desperate. Their leaders called for an all-out attack. Giant ships fired on Earth's last major defenses, and enemy soldiers marched toward the capital city. Aaron and Zara's group was asked to help defend the main communication tower. If the tower fell, the humans would lose contact with their allies across the planet. The group joined soldiers and volunteers, setting up barriers and preparing supplies. As night fell, the enemy came closer. Explosions lit up the darkness, and the ground shook. But the defenders stood firm. When the first wave of enemy soldiers reached the barriers, the humans worked together, passing ammunition, helping the injured, and making sure nobody was alone. Zara saw a young woman who had never held a weapon before stand beside an old man who had fought in past wars. They spoke softly, sharing stories to calm each other. When the attack came, they fired together, never leaving each other's side. Inside the tower, Aaron and a small team kept the power running. Each time the power lines were cut, Aaron crawled into dark tunnels to fix them. Zara carried messages between teams, running through smoke and rubble, trusting the defenders to cover her every step. The fighting was fierce, but each time the enemy pushed forward, the humans pushed back harder. When the enemy broke through one side, a group of volunteers rushed in to fill the gap. When supplies ran low, others risked their lives to bring food and water. In the deepest part of the night, a huge explosion hit the tower's base. The building shook, and everyone thought it would fall. But the main supports held, people cheered, and the defenders kept fighting. Suddenly, a message came through. The enemy had started retreating. All across the city, United Front soldiers were giving up, some even joining human groups, helping carry the wounded and repair broken roads. Zara stood on the tower's rooftop and watched as the first rays of morning light touched the city. Fires still burned in the distance, and the air was filled with smoke, but the city had survived. Aaron sat beside her, his face covered in dirt but smiling. "We did it," he said quietly. Zara nodded. "You did not win just because of weapons. You won because you never gave up on each other. Even in the darkest night, you found a way to hope." As the sun rose, survivors emerged from shelters, holding hands and singing soft songs. Soldiers helped enemy prisoners, sharing food and blankets. People hugged strangers and cried tears of relief. News spread quickly. Across Earth, cities that had nearly fallen started to recover. More and more United Front soldiers surrendered, tired and confused by the kindness shown to them. At the Grand Council in the center of the galaxy, leaders watched the events on their screens. Some were shocked, others amazed. They saw that even with better weapons and larger armies, the United Front could not defeat the spirit of humanity. Zara sent a message to her own world. The real strength of humans is not in their machines or weapons. It is in their hearts, their endless hope, their kindness, and their unity. This is why they have never lost a galactic war. The battle for Earth was ending, but the story of humanity's spirit was only beginning to spread across the galaxy. Other worlds started to wonder. Could they learn from the humans? Could hope and unity be the strongest force in the universe? The sun rose gently over Earth, shining on broken buildings, quiet streets, and people waking up from the hardest night they had ever known. Fires still burned in some places, but new hope filled the air. Everywhere the sound of rebuilding had started. Hammers hit nails, voices called out for help or answered with encouragement, and laughter returned, even if it was tired and soft. Zara stood on the balcony of the city's main hospital, looking out at the world she had learned to love. For days, she had watched humans suffer, fight, and lose, but never surrender. She saw strangers become friends, enemies become helpers, and every single person do something to make things better. In the hospital below, doctors and nurses still worked without rest. Aaron and his team, their faces dirty and eyes red, helped carry in the last wounded soldiers and civilians from the night's battles. Volunteers shared food, water, and blankets. Children helped by cleaning floors or singing songs to calm the scared and hurt. Everywhere Zara looked, she saw life returning to the city. Outside the city, the last enemy ships were leaving Earth's orbit. The United Front had lost, not only in battle, but in spirit. Many of their soldiers had surrendered or asked for mercy. Some even joined human rescue teams, helping find survivors in the ruins or clearing roads for ambulances. No one was turned away. Those who fought bravely, whether alien or human, were treated with respect. At sunrise, a quiet ceremony was held in the city square. Survivors, soldiers, and even former enemies stood together in silence. Flowers were placed on a simple stone, and people bowed their heads for those who had been lost. Aaron stood before the crowd, his voice soft, but full of meaning. "We remember all who suffered," he said. "We promise to help those who are left behind. Our strength is not in our weapons, but in our hearts. We are one people, on one planet, and we welcome all who come in peace." Zara felt tears in her eyes. She thought about her own world and wondered if the lesson of Earth could be shared across the stars. When the ceremony ended, Zara followed Aaron and his friends as they visited different parts of the city. They stopped at a school where students had already started cleaning and painting the walls. Teachers handed out new books, and kids helped set up desks that had been knocked over during the fighting. At a small bakery, a man who had lost his home-baked bread for everyone, giving it away for free. "We are still here," he said with a proud smile. "We will not let darkness win." Zara and Aaron also went to a field hospital outside the city where alien and human doctors worked together. One young alien nurse named Tiek, who had once fought against humans, now bandaged wounds side by side with Aaron's friends. He looked up when Zara arrived and nodded shyly. "I never understood humans," he said softly. "But now I know. They do not fight because they love war. They fight because they love each other." Zara smiled and thanked him. She saw that Tiek and others like him were starting to understand the real secret of humanity's strength. Days passed. Messages came from other parts of Earth. Cities that had suffered most were rebuilding even faster. Aid teams from distant nations arrived to help. Robots cleared rubble, and new trees were planted in parks. At night, families gathered in open squares, lighting candles and sharing stories. There were tears, but also music and hope. Soon, the rest of the galaxy started to pay attention. The Grand Council sent messages of peace and offers to help Earth rebuild. Some alien leaders who had once feared or hated humans asked for talks, hoping to learn the human way of unity and hope. Zara was invited to speak before the Grand Council through a giant screen. She wore a simple dress and stood in front of the city's repaired tower, the sun shining behind her. Leaders from across the galaxy watched as she told the story of what she had seen. "Humans have never lost a galactic war," she said, "because they refuse to lose hope. They are strong, not because they are perfect, but because they never give up on each other. When the worst comes, they help friends and strangers alike. They learn from every mistake, and even in defeat, they find a way to rise again." She paused and looked around at the people behind her, humans and aliens, young and old, all working side by side. "I saw enemies become friends. I saw people risk everything for those they had never met. And I saw that the real victory is not in destroying your enemy, but in building a better world together." The Grand Council was silent for a long time. Then, one by one, leaders from different worlds promised to work for peace. They asked for help in teaching their people what Zara had learned on Earth. Back on the planet, life slowly returned to normal. The scars of war did not disappear overnight, but new buildings rose where old ones had fallen. People planted gardens where bombs had left craters. Songs of loss were replaced by songs of hope. Aaron and Zara often walked through the city, talking about the future. "Will the galaxy change?" Aaron asked her one evening as they watched children play in a new park. Zara smiled. "It will, if we keep telling this story. If others see what you have done, maybe they will find hope too." Aaron nodded. "We are not special. Not really. We are just people trying our best. But maybe that's enough." One day, a ship arrived carrying visitors from other worlds. They came not as conquerors, but as students and friends. They wanted to see how humans rebuilt, how they forgave, and how they found joy even after pain. Aaron, Zara, and Tiek led the visitors through the city, showing them schools, gardens, and community kitchens. The visitors asked many questions. How did you stop being afraid? How did you forgive the enemy? Why do you always work together? Aaron's answer was simple. No one is strong alone. Only together can we survive the hardest times. We learned that lesson again and again. It is our greatest weapon, and it is open to all. The visitors listened, took notes, and returned to their own worlds, carrying the lessons of Earth with them. As time passed, Zara prepared to leave Earth. She felt sad, but also hopeful. She had arrived as a stranger, and now she was part of a new family, one that stretched across species, languages, and stars. Before she left, Aaron and his friends gathered for a small party. "We will miss you," Aaron said. "Come back whenever you can. Earth will always welcome you." Zara hugged him, Tiek, and all the friends she had made. As her ship rose into the sky, she looked down at the blue planet, full of scars and hope. She promised herself she would share the true secret of humanity wherever she went. As Zara's ship sped through the stars, she sent a final message to the Grand Council and to every world that listened. The real reason humans have never lost a galactic war is not power, weapons, or luck. It is the simple, unstoppable force of unity, kindness, and hope. If we all learn this, maybe one day there will be no more wars at all. On Earth, the sun rose over cities rebuilt by many hands. Laughter and music filled the air. And somewhere, in every home, someone remembered the hardest night and the bright new day that followed.